Employees from various sectors will today have to report according to new employment equity regulations. The Employment Equity Amendment Act of 2022 aims to speed up transformation and equity in the workplace. The Act gives the Minister powers to set numerical targets for specific economic sectors. There have been legal challenges to these new regulations by the DA and some labour unions. Joining us now is Thembinkosi Mkhaliphi, the Acting Deputy Director of Labour Policy and Industrial Relations at the Department of Employment and Labour. And Mkhaliphi, thank you so much for your time and for joining us today. Maybe let's just begin with you highlighting and briefly elaborating on the key objectives of the new employment equity regulations that come into effect today and how they aim to transform workplaces post-apartheid.
As you know, the Employment Equity Act empowers the minister to set up targets of the different sectors, and that's what the regulations are doing. The regulations set up targets for different 18 sectors to be exact. And each company, for example, Newzroom Afrika, they are expected to report between now and the 15th of January. The system will be open for reporting. As part of that reporting process, they will have to indicate how they intend to meet the targets set by the minister for their sector when it comes to that individual company. That's what the targets are. As you correct that there's been court challenges. We're still waiting for a decision on the DA court challenge. The challenge by Solidarity, NIASA, has been decided in court halfly. The second part of that still has got to be heard in court.
With these challenges that you're currently facing, how does the department plan to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of these regulations in promoting workplace diversity and equity?
Well, nothing changes as long as the court has not made a ruling that says there's anything wrong with the regulations or the act itself. Therefore, the challenges are welcome. We live in a democracy. Anybody who feel aggrieved by any law, by any regulation introduced by government, they are entitled and they are welcome to challenge them and go to court. And we are also allowed to go and defend and protect the legislation. Therefore, nothing is going to change with the challenges. And we'll see, after the 15th of March, of January, when we check what has been the report of the companies, which companies comply with the regulations, which company have failed to comply with the regulation, and we take it from there.
Still speaking on some of these challenges, you mentioned the organizations that are challenging, the National Employers Association of South Africa, which represents about 7,000 employers, as well as some of these business lobby groups. In your view, what are the main legal or constitutional concerns that are raised by these groups that have led to this appeal?
Well, all of these groups that are challenging either the regulation and employment, we're not surprised. All of these groups have been, over the years, have been challenging employment equity. We know Solidarity have done the same, NIASA has done the same, Kasalika has done the same. Therefore, we're not surprised that it's them who are challenging. Therefore, to us, we're expecting it. We're expecting these challenges. It's part of the process, and we're not surprised. The fact that they say they represent 7,000 employers, we don't know that. There's no proof of what they are representing, but we've been consulting with employers. If they represent 7,000, we've consulted with their members just like everybody else. Therefore, for us, it's not surprise. We would have been surprised if there was no challenge from the DA, from Solidarity, from NIASA, from Kasalika, or even the Organization for International Relations, Race Relations. Those 5 organizations, we expect challenges from them and would have been surprised if they have not.
How are you then addressing just those potential resistance or reluctance from employers in general regarding the transformation goals embedded in these regulations? Because the government has been receiving some resistance, particularly from the private sector.
Well, we live in a democracy. We introduce legislation and regulation We follow the legal process. We publish up for public comment. The legislation are debated in Parliament. Parties that oppose have got the right to come in and oppose. And when Parliament passes the law, the only options that companies have got after Parliament has passed the law is then the court process. If they fail in the court process, there's nothing that we can do other than implementing the law. And those who do not comply with the law face the consequences.
Now, going back to the equity rules in terms of what you're trying to attain as an objective, are there specific sectors that you're targeting and seeing this transformation pan out in?
No, we're covering all sectors, 18 sectors to be exact. The targets have been set for 18 sectors of the economy. And those 18 sectors are sectors as published by State South Africa. Therefore, they are sectors of the whole of the economy. We're not targeting any specific sectors, but we're targeting all the sectors of the economy. We're setting targets for all of them. And all companies that employ more than 50 employees are expected to report and implement those targets.
And any support mechanisms or capacity building initiatives that are there for employers, particularly for small and medium enterprises, to comply effectively?
Well, I mean, as I've said, small and medium enterprise who employ less than 50 employees are not expected to comply with this regulation and a big part of Employment Equity Act. Therefore, small and medium employers have been catered for. But if there are any other employers that want any assistance and discussion with the department is available to have those discussion and interaction with them to assist them in moving forward. But as I've said, small and medium employers are catered for in terms of this regulation. The law excludes them from complying with these regulations.
All right. Thembinkosi Mkhaliphi, thank you for your time this afternoon. That's the Acting Deputy Director of Labour Policy and Industrial Relations at the Department of Employment and Labour.